Hello class, we're going to go into our set of notes titled Least Common Multiple. Sometimes they'll ask for you to find just this, the least common multiple. You can also use this to simplify fractions, find equivalent fractions, adding and subtracting fractions. So we're going to go ahead and get started. A multiple is a number that is the product of that number and a non-zero whole number. You're going to hear Miss Madera say multiples march on. Also, it's kind of like when we counted on, like when you count by twos or when you count by fives, like in this first example. What are the first 5 multiples of 5? You start with the number, and then you count as if you're skip counting. So it would be 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, etc. And then this counts for all numbers can have multiples. We're so used to counting by 5s, 10s, 2s because those are friendly ones. But sometimes they're going to ask you to find like multiples of 8, which would be 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48, etc. So some of this goes back to knowing your math facts fast as a snap. But it definitely helps to have multiplication charts. We'll have this. This is literally the line of 8 if you look at a multiplication grid. Or just skip counting or thinking about multiples marching on will help. Common multiples, they're multiples shared by 2 or more numbers. So looking at this list, 5, the multiples of 5, and the multiples of 8, I don't see any multiples that are on this list and that are also on the other list. When I'm asking about a common one, they need to be within both. They need to share it. So I want to point out one last thing. Least is asking for the smallest. Common means either the same or shared. And then multiple, which we already discussed what the definition of a multiple is. So if I'm asking for the LCM, it stands for least common multiple or smallest same multiple. All right, so there are a couple ways you can solve this. Miss Madera's favorite way is the list. I like to make a list because eventually you'll get more fluent and familiar with it and be able to do this fast as a snap. So let's start. What are two common multiples of 8 and 4? So I'm going to make a list. Now when you start with a multiple, you start at this number. You don't start at 1. It's as if you began at this number on the number line and then counted that many spaces marching on. So it would be 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24. I'll just pause there for now. If I need more room, I'll go ahead and add it underneath. And then, what are the first 2 common multiples of 8 and 4? So 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48. And now I'm going to look for common ones that they share. Here I see 8 and 8, 16 and 16. And I bet if I marched on even further, I'd find more. But remember, when I'm looking for the least common multiple, it's usually the first one, the smallest one. It doesn't mean that there aren't other common multiples that they share. If they're asking what are 2 common ones, 8 and 16 would work. If I'm asking for the smallest common one, it would definitely have to be just 8. That is the least or the smallest shared multiple. Let's do this with 5 and 10. So I have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, and I'll pause right there. And now I count by tens. I march on. So this is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So if I'm looking for common ones, I see 10, I see 20, and I see 30. This one's very nice because 5 is a factor of 10. I can multiply something times 5 to get to 10, which is why they share so many common multiples. You can also use Venn diagrams or list of factors to find, under here it should say LCM. So I'm going to use this Venn diagram. It's essentially the same list I made before, but it's just represented in a different chart or graph, so to speak. So I'm going to move this. There we go. What is the LCM of 4 and 6? So if I'm counting on, it's 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28. I'll just pause there for now. I want to point out one more thing that I didn't from before. The multiples are as if I were to times 4 times 1 gets me to 4. 4 times 2 gets me to 8. Times 3 gets me to 12. 4 times 4 is 16. 4 times 5 is 20. 4 times 6 is 24. That's another way to help you with your multiples. So jumping back down here, I'm talking about 6 right now, those multiples. If I counted on, if I was marching by 6, it would be 6, then 12, then 18, then 24, then 30, and we'll pause there. So now I need to find common ones. So I usually go down one list and say, do I see 4 on this side? Nope. I'm going to go to 8. Do I see 8 on this side? I see it in 18, but I'm talking about the whole number. So that is not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for just 8, but I don't see just 8 on this side. So I'm moving on. 12, I see 12. Do I see 16? No. Do I see 20? No. 24? Yes, those are common. And that's it. That's all I have for now. So then, when asking, the common ones were 12 and 24. If I want the smallest between these two numbers that are common, that are shared, that overlap, the LCM is 12. Excellent. So now I'd like you to try to find the LCM of 12 and 8. You're going to start with your list. You're going to count by 8s, which I already started up at the top of your notes. And then you're also going to count by 12s. Once you made this list, you circle the common ones. And looking at the common ones, you find the smallest same multiple. In this case, between 4 and 6, the least common multiple was 12. Now you guys are going to go ahead and try to find the least common multiple of 8 and 12.